Everybody, and welcome to the game room. My name is LukeTheDM, and it's my job to kill everyone. Happy Thursday. Glad to see you. Twice in 1 week. We are going into the Accursed Archives. Yes. These missions are a little bit different than our normal little shindig here. Little spicy, little high-risk, high-reward action to progress the plot. I think it's the first time in the archives for a few of the players here, so it's going to be a good time. But before all of that fun, silly nonsense, we have a few announcements to get through. Just to kind of keep y'all up to speed on what's going on in TGR land. Number one, I would like to say that just earlier today, we had some discussion, and I just wanted to express my appreciation as, a DM and just a community member, just on the feedback that you guys provide. I think it's really helpful to because ultimately this is our game, right? It's everyone wants to have fun, and so I think, if something is not necessarily, I don't want to say it's not working, but if something's not working, it's good to have that communication and constructively come up with solutions for that. So I just want to express my appreciation for that, because that meant a lot to me personally. Number two, we are still actively recruiting. We are going all out on socials trying to get more people to play, because let's be honest, beginner tier is looking a little, you guys are graduating up to adventurer tier. So definitely, if you've got friends, coworkers, family members, that weird guy on the street corner, whoever, invite them to join TAC, because the more the merrier, honestly. As far as Twitch stuff goes, as of, I believe, 20 seconds ago, we are now 2 followers away from 500. So that's a pretty big benchmark for us. We've been doing this for a little while now. So we'll have to come up with some sort of celebration idea. Figure something out, me and Mr. Wee Woo. But that'll be pretty big. So if we can get 2 followers in the next little bit, that'll be pretty sweet. To celebrate, maybe you want to buy a Tealeaf Adventuring Company sticker. We've got those new stickers in the shop. I believe those are ready to be ordered now. The cute little Ted chibi ones. They are absolutely freaking adorable, and the art is done by our beloved community member, Pastamancer. And just so y'all know where your money's going, half of it will be going to TGR. We pretty much just dump all the money back into the stream, trying to buy D&D Beyond expansions or fun Roll20 things or new equipment just to increase production quality. And then the other half of the money is going to go actually straight to Pastamancer, because she's the artist and she deserves it for all of her hard work and talent on that. So just so you know what you're supporting there and all that. Oh, I know that guy. What else do we got going on? Monday, are we doing painting Monday? Is that a thing? I don't know if we have events in the Discord yet. I don't think we have anything planned. Alright, we are going to do that again. Okay, so hang out with us on Mondays and do other fun stuff. I think that's all I've got. We still got the Cricket backstory mission just on hold until Scribe's life settles down a little bit and, she finishes with school and all that. So, without further ado, I believe we are ready to dive in. Everybody here ready?
Yep. Yes.
I was hard muted, but I'm totally ready.
Alright. Then, we'll begin tonight's mission, as we always do, in the beautiful free city of Kadoria, on a lonely peninsula to the north of the Midnight Sea. And there, in the prime central thoroughway drag, known as Avandra's Alley, right where it turns right into the south, onto Melora's Way, in that central town square known as Ava's Piazza, sits a beautiful 3-story mansion which now serves as the Tealeaf Adventuring Company Guild Hall. And our adventure sort of pans in and begins with a newcomer to the guild, just arriving in Kadoria from very far away. Mr. Wolf, if you'd like to take a minute to describe your new character. What's their name, what's their race, and what's their aesthetic? What do they look like?
So, Marseille also known as Mars. She is a hill dwarf. She wears these heavy set of chainmail armor. She has a big shield strapped to her left arm. On the shield is a big circle, and almost like an open fan above the circle. Up on top of the chainmail, she wears bright oranges, purples, big hooded cloak kind of over her head, nice maroon color with some fancy design around the neck. She has a cigarette in her mouth and an eye patch over her right eye. On the right side of her body is a large war hammer. On her back, a crossbow. Her right hand is free, and she kind of puffs on the cigarette.
Wow.
She would walk up to the door and kind of take her shield and give a good knock with the shield on the door.
All right. About a minute goes by, and there's no response.
She would knock louder.
You knock again, and you hear from just beyond the door this like loud, like, just a second, be right there, and then like footsteps, and then just crash, bang, crash, the sound of smashing glass and pots and pans falling everywhere, and then the door slowly creaks open. And you can see just through the little crack as it opens, a red-skinned tiefling. You know the drill. I have to do this with every new character. You see Amnesty just face planting on the ground, eating shit, just made a total mess of himself. But the woman who has opened the door in front of you is rather striking in appearance. You see this very tall, gaunt, pale, lithe woman in this very simple sort of black gown. Sort of this like gray black hair with like a streak of silver going through it. Eyes that are narrow and harsh with this sort of deep maroon tint. And just scars and burn marks just covering every bit of skin that you can possibly see that isn't concealed. And on the forearm, a large sort of pink, white, and orange tattoo of a peacock feather. She sort of creaks the door open, kind of looks around, kind of looks down at you. Who are you?
I use the honor of the establishment.
No, I am a guest. Appears that the staff here are quite incompetent, so I was forced to get up and answer the door for your obnoxious banging.
She kind of takes her cigarette and pulls it out of her mouth and kind of blows smoke in her direction. The banging wouldn't be obnoxious if you just answered the door the first time. I need to speak to the owner of the establishment. It'd be much appreciated.
You are in luck. The owner's wife is currently having a bit of a group meeting, if you will. So it is. She kind of just holds the door open for you and like doesn't move out of the way.
Are you going to show me the way?
After you. She kind of sidesteps.
She'll throw her cigarette, kind of stomp on it on the ground outside. And as she enters, she pulls her hood back, kind of does a little shake, and long braided hair kind of goes down, drops down in front of her to her waist. She has these bright blue eyes.
All right.
Thank you.
This tall woman will sort of walk behind you closely and lead you down the hallway to the guild lounge, where you can see a group of guild members has gathered around. You can see on the left is this long banquet table that stretches, enough to seat maybe 50 people or so. On the right, a scattering of sofas and sort of like upside down turtle shell, like papasan chairs, a roaring fireplace, and then the back is this sort of semicircular desk where presumably a bureaucrat or an office worker of some sort would work. But in sort of the central of the little seating area right now, you can see a small little red-haired halfling woman sitting over a very large, heavy, very old, sort of matted tome. And around her are 4 other individuals. At this particular moment, it seems that Q, Vordon, Forge, and Sraken have all, through whether it's through sheer coincidence, morbid curiosity, or obedience and loyalty, have found yourself surrounding Miss Marigold Tealeaf, or rather Marigold Streamstep, as she is kind of cautiously just sitting and sort of mentally preparing for what she's about to ask. And as you step in, your escort, Gloria, kind of speaks up. My lady, it appears we have a new guest. She is asking for the owner. And Marigold kind of comes out of almost this trance and sort of turns around, and you can see these like very gentle green eyes as she kind of meets your gaze for the first time, Mars. Hi, welcome to the Tealeaf Adventuring Company. I'm Marigold. You can always come to me if you need anything. Are you looking to join us? Are you looking for employment? Would you perhaps like to commission the company for a particular job?
First, I would like to say thank you for taking the time to speak to me, Miss Marigold. I've come on a sort of errand from my people. Perhaps this is more commission-worthy than me joining the guild.
Okay.
My people seek aid and your knowledge.
Well, we'd be happy to help. I apologize that I don't recognize your accent. But you do look rather travel worn. Please have a seat, rest up. If you'd like any refreshments, all you have to do is really just ask and it'll come.
I have traveled far and wide. I do not need a seat. But when you have a moment, I would like to speak to you in regards to possibly assisting the people of where I come from.
Do you have a means of payments, per se?
I have but 150 gold pieces to my name.
I see. Well, you seem... And you see Gloria, kind of arms crossed, just sort of chuckle. Really? You're going to send someone you barely know into that place? She seems almost like... slightly amused. Kind of looks over back to Mars and looks to Marigold.
Are you... Really? Marigold, No, I will not stand for that. Definitely not as payment. I will give you what I have earned here to help this person.
Well, I apologize. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and she kind of glares over at Gloria. Mars, if you don't mind, what can we help you with?
My people, I come from the Endless Forest. We are experiencing quite a streak of darkness. A bit of a blight upon our land. The forest becomes corrupt in places. The foliage turning unnatural shades of red and purple. Roots being corrupted and twisting up, suffocating other plants, wildlife. It seems to be poisoning the water in places. And my people have mentioned a sighting of a being I do not really wish to speak of in the company of others.
That's quite fascinating that you would mention that, actually. We've heard similar reports and actually sent members of our guild to investigate. We had spoken with... Are you familiar with the Lorelei?
I am not too familiar. I'm sorry.
It's a very big force. It's okay. But just know that we have looked into this. I'd be curious to pick your brain about this creature that you saw, and actually, we're it's a long story, but we're actually taking measures presently to try to permanently resolve this. And she kind of glances over to Gloria. It's kind of Gloria just again kind of just observing with this smug look of sort of Karma's a bitch kind of face. Well, are you going to explain to your employees what's going on or not? Marigold. Please, a tea, a glass of wine, water, anything, Mars. Please, just if you want to make yourself comfortable. And she seems like very nervous and apologetic.
I do not need the refreshments. If there is some way I can be of assistance, if it is to help cleanse the blight that is upon my people, I am more than willing to help. I've been, tasked with this errand, but I take this matter rather personally.
See, okay. Well, let me start from the beginning. I'll try to be brief, but to catch you up to speed. About a year ago, a very ancient evil force was awakened. Not sure how or why, but a being that's been come to be known as the Kruvspawn was awakened. It was then brought to our attention that the Kruvspawn had 3 brides that were also captured and imprisoned. And as she says 3, Gloria kind of clears her throat a little bit and excuse me. There were 4 brides that were taken. Our guest here, Gloria, is the 4th and the youngest of them, and she's been instrumental in assisting us with recovering information as to how to defeat this potentially world-ending threat. So, based off the information we've been able to gather and Gloria's input, it seems that in order to permanently get rid of this threat, we're going to need to defeat the 3 brides first, and then the Kruvspawn. These ancient beings are... She kind of, again, just looks over Gloria, who's just got this, like, shit-eating grin on. They have an aspect of divinity to them. They're almost godlike in their prowess. But according to some notes that we recovered from the actual city occupied by these Kruvspawn, there's a way to potentially... a weapon that we could craft that could potentially aid us in this fight. But in order to craft these weapons, we need certain materials. In particular, we need the wood of a Cador tree and a rare metal known as Archaeonium. Our guild has scoured all of our sources and for knowledge about this Cador tree, which actually originates from the Endless Forest. But unfortunately, the only leads we have are from hundreds of years ago, stating that this tree was chopped down by a wealthy group of dwarves, and the trail kind of goes cold from there. Now, fortunately, but I hate to use that word, the Tealeaf Adventuring Company has an extremely valuable resource, but it is extremely dangerous and risky to use. In this book, and she kind of picks up and kind of hefts up this massive old tome, which you can see on the spine, sort of faded gold leaf, says the Index Incarnatum. Within this tome is a realm of infinite knowledge, the answers to every question in the multiverse. All of humanity and beyond's knowledge contained within one realm, but it has been corrupted, twisted, and it's now protected by a very malevolent and otherworldly force, which we don't quite understand. But if we're cautious and prudent and efficient, we can still extract bits of extremely useful knowledge from this place that could help us. As of right now, the current thought is to confirm some of the knowledge that we've stolen from the Kruvspawn and hopefully locate the 3 imprisoned brides before Kruvspawn can find them and release them, and also to craft or find the materials to craft this weapon to be able to kill them all permanently. She kind of like smiles and looks around to everyone because did I miss anything?
You can't heal inside the books.
It's a book, right? It's just a book. You talk of it like it's a.
It's
not just a book. It's
a place. It's
another dimension.
It's. Lethieth brings up a valid point. If I am going to ask you to venture into this place, you should be aware of the risk. All of our information and experience that we've gathered from this place so far has indicated that magic is twisted and distorted as well, and in particular it seems that healing magic is entirely nullified, as is certain forms of divination magic and means of teleportation as well.
Time also doesn't progress in there.
That's an excellent point, Forge. Thank you. It seems that what could be hours or days within the archives is a mere blink of an eye here back home.
Then it seems like it's a perfect environment to fix the issue. You have an infinite amount of time to figure out the cause, and
if only it were that easy. As I mentioned, this information is protected in a sense. I hate to use that word. I don't want to give any sort of benevolent shade to these creatures. There's something within the archives that does not like outsiders, and we've had a few interactions with them before, and these creatures, they don't seem to harm you per se as much as they extract bits of your soul, and the more interactions you have, the more direct contact you have with these beings, it seems the weaker you get. We have discovered a means of restoring that bit of that piece of you if you do have contact, but extended, prolonged contact with these creatures is extremely fatal. We've just decided to refer to them as the Watchers, the Keepers. We don't know what they are, how they got there, but it's unlike any sort of being I've encountered before, and I've I've killed gods. So and Gloria just kind of snorts at that and like walks over and just has a seat and kind of crosses her legs and just sort of stares and is now just kind of watching everyone in the room, just kind of leaning over, glancing at everyone's faces to kind of get a general gist of what everyone's thinking.
There's more than just the Watchers in there. There's very strong demons and other creatures that are very apt at killing you the normal way.
Yes, you mean the demons that tortured me for over a millennia. Yes, how could we forget those ones?
Oops.
you all seem to respect the book a great deal, and if what you say is true, Miss Marigold, about killing gods, as this place seems quite serious, but as I've said, I've made it a personal commitment to see that we stop the darkness and the blight from taking over the forest where I come from.
I see. Well, I sincerely appreciate your willingness to help, but I can't ask you to join us in this particular mission. If you so choose, we're planning an expedition into the archives. We have questions that desperately need answering, and I fear that we're on a bit of a dwindling timeline. We're in a race against these very, very powerful forces, and the longer we delay, I fear that the harder it'll be in the long run. And she kind of turns and looks at the other four sitting. So, I've chosen the four of you to help me, and Mars, if you will join us. Again, it's... We've got some people here who've experienced this place before, and she kind of glances over at you, Lethieth, and kind of breaks eye contact for a moment. This place has taken a lot from us, and I'm hoping that that strong emotional connection will maybe serve as some sort of guide, or I trust your conviction over almost anyone within this guild, Lethieth. If anyone's going to figure this out, I trust in you. And as much as I hate to admit, new ways of thinking, new blood, new interactions could yield infinite possibilities, new concepts, new tricks, new information to help us with this goal. So Vordon and Sriken, I believe both of you are extremely intelligent and capable, and
well, we all know that I am smarter than Shriekin.
and she kind of like she chokes on a little giggle there.
Oh, not cool.
I just hope that there's, just because it's new blood going in there, that it doesn't mean spilled blood.
I hope the same. So my advice to all of you is to be quick, be quiet, and to treat everything as if it's deadly, and do not take anything out. Put everything back where it came.
Well, Harper isn't here to put things out of place, so we're good.
As long as you stay with us, Vordon.
Well, I will not roam, I will not open doors that I'm not supposed to. I'm ready.
Does anyone have any questions?
What would you like me to ask this thing, Marigold? Because you know what I want to ask it.
I know. I think any information regarding... She kind of looks over at Gloria, and Gloria just kind of, again, shrugs. Well, if we're going to have to take down these brides, we should be properly armed to do so. And we've got plenty of Archaonium. It seems all we're missing is this wood of the Kador tree. We could get more information about that. I think that's a positive step in the right direction.
Okay.
If all of you would like to take a moment to prepare yourselves, gather your things, we can reconvene here and enter the archives at your convenience.
Lethieth takes off his gloves, his gauntlets of ogre power.
Okay.
And just sets them on the table, because I don't have enough ability to attune to everything that I need in there. And these are one thing that I'm willing to give up. They don't make me all that much stronger. If any of you want them, they're free. Other than that, I will be right back. I must go suit
Sure.
up in my armor. And he gets up to go do so.
Is there anything anyone else would like to do?
Forge goes ahead to the forge and does the blessing of the forge to his plate armor in preparation. Stops by the stables and kind of gives a farewell to his warhorse Jezebel.
Okay.
Not sure if he's going to make it back this time. So
Okay.
after seeing the last time that he went in there, the dangers that lie. And then from there he gears up and heads back to the guild hall and prepares.
Okay.
Vordon's gonna walk over to the bar one last time and sit down, take a quick drink, and then
Ed,
He's
the demon bartender, just kind of leans over the bar and stares deep into your eyes.
and then he takes out his dagger of venom and says, "You like my new toy?"
And gives you a head tilt.
And he sarcastically smiles and grins and knows this could be it, and he walks back to the group.
Okay. Sraken or Mars?
So if nobody wants those gauntlets,
What does the gauntlets do?
nothing. They just look cool.
They're purely decorative, they look cool. I will
Yeah.
say, you four seemed quite seasoned in your travels, and I'm, of course, very new here. I've been here for 5 minutes. But if you would like the gauntlets, they are yours. I will take them if they do something. If they're purely decorative, it's not worth my time. If you do wish to have the gauntlets, perhaps,
lie to you, they're special.
perhaps
They make you really
after,
strong, and I'm really weak, and I was jealous.
perhaps if we survive this, you can have them, and I use them one time to help out.
Yeah, okay, fine. I hope I don't die.
Is up to you. I defer to you. I am new here. I do not wish to impose.
Nah, no. It's fine. It's fine. Don't die with them on. I don't want to have to pull you out of them.
So what do they do?
They make your strength score up to a 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gauntlets of
Your rogue
overpower.
attacks are just gonna go through. The dagger just comes out the other side.
Alright. So, after a brief moment, everyone taking their little last bit of preparation, you guys reconvene around Marigold. I sincerely appreciate the bravery that everyone here is displaying and your commitment to our mutual goals. She kind of side-eyes Gloria again. I wish you the best of luck, and I really hope to see the 5 of you on the other side. She kind of looks at Vordon, also gives a goofy salute. Alright. She takes a deep breath and says, if you'd all join hands.
Lethieth reaches out on either side and his hands are shaking.
Won't be long before Q comes out.
Marigold
It's
reaches
already
out-
been Q.
Yeah.
Q
Marigold
is
reach-
not allowed.
reaches out and grabs Q's hand. There we go. And with her left hand, flips open the cover of the index. And you see the first page just sort of slowly, lazily flop over. Followed by a second page. And a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth, and a seventh. In a very, like, Reading Rainbow style motion, you see just this torrent of paper, an impossible number of pages to fit inside a single binding, just flying through. And all of you feel your consciousness begin to, you kind of start to feel a little bit lightheaded, and your vision kind of goes dark and starts to tunnel in, and you feel this immense pulling sensation as everything goes black, and you feel this lurch in your stomach, like going over the top of a roller coaster. and for a moment, just long enough to incite that fight or flight primal bit of survival panic, there's a brief moment of oblivion. And then you feel the air hit your chest, and your feet land, and you find a solid surface. You're corporeal again. You look around, and you see your party members here, the 5 of you. And you look around into where the index has dropped you off. Looking around this simple room, maybe 20 feet on a side, the entire floor is covered in what appear to be very shiny keys. All different types of metal, different sizes, different shapes, different lusters. Hundreds of thousands of keys just litter the floor. On the opposite wall from where you've sort of spawned in, if you will, you can see there are 3 doors, each with a different design, a different shape, perhaps a different material that they seem to be made out of. But in the center of the room, sort of just kind of looks almost just lazily tossed, kind of cockeyed to a side, you see this large, what appears to be maybe about a foot on each side, this metallic cube.
Does the cube appear to have any keyholes?
As you approach and you look at the cube, it does in fact appear to have keyholes. In the center of each of the 4 faces on the sides appears to be a small keyhole, and under each keyhole is a different number. So one side has a 1, you kind of turn it, there's a 2, a 3, and a 4.
Forge is going to kind of do the quiet sign to everyone.
Okay.
And around this cube, I'm going to ritual cast silence. That way, the moving of the keys and stuff won't cause any sound or anything.
So you take a brief moment and cast silence, and all of you suddenly get this very, deafened sense. You can almost feel the vibrations of yourselves breathing, but there is no noise.
I can see all of my comrades within this area. So I say, into their minds.
Ah, yes.
Sounds like a thought at the back of their minds. And I say, well, obviously we need to find these keys. But does anybody recognize any of these markings? Are they houses of some sort? Cult symbols, markings, anything of that nature? I'm sorry if this feels like an intrusion, Mars.
Would we recognize any of the markings on the cube?
Yeah, they're literally just numbers. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 on the sides.
That's it, that's all?
Yep.
Okay.
But it looks so
It's a very
pretty on the screen.
it is a very decorative cube, yes.
But they're not like religious symbols or anything.
They are straight
Okay.
common numbers.
What about the keys on the ground? Is there anything that matches the decoration or any symbols that we might recognize?
As you look and you start picking through keys, it takes you a few minutes, but between the 5 of you, you do start to recognize, while each key seems to be almost perfectly unique in its size and its composition and its shape, you do notice that each key is marked with a particular symbol. And in total, you manage to see 7 unique symbols. But each of these hundreds of thousands of keys has 1 of 7 symbols on them. And so, collectively, you take a moment and you manage to find 1 key of each of the 7 symbols.
If you compare 2 keys of the same symbol, are they the same, key piece, or are they unique in itself as well?
The keys do seem unique in themselves as well. But you see these 7 symbols, I believe all of them showed up there. Oh, I missed the O here. Sorry. There we go. There's the last one. Okay. And I apologize if they're a little hard to see against the background there. It's a tough background to have a match to, but there should be 7 symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Okay. And looking at the cube, moving it around, do we see those symbols near the keyholes on there?
Nope, there's just the 4 numbers.
What about the doors?
Scan there.
Sriken, you walk over to the doors.
Oh no. I say it.
And you do see there's 3. The door on the far right appears to be like almost like Lord of the Rings, like this perfectly round, like Hobbit hole style door with this like very, very pleasant shade of green, with a big round brass doorknob and just like beautiful flowers like morning glories that are trying to grown all around this circular frame. And there is a small keyhole underneath the doorknob. The door in the center, quite harsh in contrast. This very blocky, rough, wrought iron door with like heavy rivets and almost like spikes kind of protruding out of it, with sort of a triangular knob and another key underneath that. And then the last door appears to be like almost like a very deep, dark, like mahogany, very glossy finish. My profession coming out. But you do see like within the grain there almost seems to be like these like moving, it's like pictograms within the door, but also a very simple plain doorknob and keyhole there.
Okay. Are these symbols the same that we saw in the keys?
You're looking and make an investigation check, Striken, as you're taking a closer look at this door.
Really good at those.
Not bad. You watch this door for a couple minutes, and it's mesmerizing. There's like tiny little lives and stories, like almost like an entire town within this door, and little figures moving, interacting, and going about their lives. And it's like you kind of feel this like pull of like, oh, okay, well, something funky's going on here. But you don't see any of the symbols that are also on the keys.
But the doorknobs have shapes similar, right? You said there was a triangle one.
They're all different shapes, yes. But
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back inside of the silence and relay that information, I guess. And be like, hey, the doors have weird ass stuff on them.
So you kind of go to talk, and you're like miming, and no noise is coming out.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess I'll just point and kind of back at him and see if we don't wake up the scary cube thing. That's probably alive. I have fears. You've sown fear and hatred into me. Anyway,
Are we able to communicate back to Lethieth?
No.
No.
One-way
Okay.
No,
street.
he
So
can
it's just
communicate
the
to
one
all
way.
of you, but he can only choose one to talk back, and he hasn't yet.
Okay.
He kind of looks to Cracen and goes, you can't respond to me, but I understand that you're trying to tell us something about the doors. Do any of these keys match? And you can
Shrike
answer
can
like
shake.
yes or yes or no.
Shake
right?
your head.
And that was directed towards Sriken?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, sorry, you were talking to me. I
love it.
well, I'm gonna be like whispery, right? What's happening here? Sorry, I...
He is speaking into your brain.
Oh, okay. So the confusion is real and appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say, who the hell are you? And I don't know.
Silence happens. That message doesn't get transferred.
Yeah. It's a one-way street. She can talk into your mind, but you cannot respond.
So what is that? What?
It was a question for you, a yes or no question.
Well,
I understand that you think I can hear what you're thinking back to me. I can't. But
no.
I'm sorry. This is confusing. It's Q. Hi. And he like waves.
Oh. Okay. So this is like telepathy thing.
I love
Voices
how
in my head.
the puzzle got exponentially more complicated by the silence moment.
Yes, I understand that you're confused by this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell us
Okay.
something about the doors. Do any of the keys match? Yes or no?
It was a no, right?
No.
I'm shaking.
Okay.
I'm shaking. Are you hearing? Are you hearing?
I-
I'm shaking.
I understand. Thank you. Again, he's gonna go back to looking at these keys, trying to figure something out. Like, are they puzzle keys like Forge said? Do they fit together to make one specific key that we can...
Make an investigation check, Q.
Okay. Investigation is not my strong suit, but we'll do it.
Yeah, you're like picking up kind of random keys and just like trying to put them together in different ways, and it's nothing's really clicking there. It seems like every single key is unique except for those 7 different symbols.
Forge noticed that Shraken kind of went over to the doors and was intrigued, so he's gonna make his way over there. And as he leaves the silence, he can this going from no sound to sound is like almost deafening. He hears all the little spiders that he's been keeping and the wearing of his armor moving against his body. He's gonna take a look at those doors.
Okay. So you would see the exact same things that Sraken saw. There's the sort of round spring hobbit door on the right. In the middle is that rough wrought iron, spiky barbed wire door, and then that strange sort of etched glossy mahogany door with the moving symbols inside, or the moving stick figures inside, we'll call them. But there doesn't seem to be any sort of correlation that you can tell between these doorknobs or keyholes and any of the keys on the ground.
Are the figures doing anything specific?
As you take a closer look, make a investigation check.
Jeez.
There's so many of them, it's hard to track, and you kind of like find yourself like picking one and just following it. It just seems like a small little town. Like they're just like interacting, walking. It seems simple, but there's a lot of them.
Vordon's going to see if the keys are meant to morph together into something greater.
Okay, so you kind of
I
see
hand them off.
yeah, you kind of see Q doing something the same sort of thing, and you're like picking up keys and like pushing them together and clacking them together, and unfortunately to no avail. You try a few dozen different keys, just kind of back and forth, different possible combinations, and you don't seem to be picking up on anything in particular.
Okay. Can I use eye for detail here?
Sure. So that would give you advantage on either a perception or an investigation check.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and dealer's choice, I'll say.
Question: how many keyholes were on the cube?
4.
It was
Just
what
labeled.
did you
1
say,
through
perception
4,
or
right?
investigation?
Yeah, whichever one you'd like, Vordon.
Okay. Let's run with investigation here.
Okay, at advantage. 23, not bad. Alright. It is... I think the biggest thing that you take away from playing with the keys and looking around is that despite each individual key being unique, the fact that there's only 7 symbols seems significant. And you're trying to figure out, you collect like a handful of keys that all have like the square on them, and there's no similarities between those keys except they all have the square on them. And on the other hand, you have a bunch of keys with the X on them. and there's nothing more to it than that they have the same symbol. You're not sure if they're equivalent, if they would unlock the same thing, potentially. It's tough to say.
Do any of the keys match the color of the cube?
As far, and there are hundreds of thousands of keys. Oh, hundreds of thousands is a lot. There are thousands of keys here, and all of them are sort of brassy, metallic, gold, copper, kind of different metallic tones. You could take the time and try to like hold up each key to the cube and try to match it. And some of them are like close, but maybe it's just a coincidence. You would gather that the color of the keys is probably it's a thought.
Yeah.
Forge is gonna move back into the silence, and he's gonna try something. He's gonna grab the chevron key and put it into the 1 hole.
All right. So you grab this third symbol here.
Yep.
Okay, and you put it into the 1. You
Yep.
hear this satisfying, but nothing happens.
Okay.
It feels like it fit and it turned. You felt tumblers move, but you gather that there's still 3 other keys that need to.
So,
Yeah.
kind of Forge's thought process is they don't look like runic symbols, so perhaps it has to do with either the number of lines or the number of angles. So, like, the circle would be 0, the triangle would be 3. There's a couple that overlap, though, with that thought process.
Circle not be 1. No, you just did that with the triangle.
Because I was thinking angles first, because
Okay.
it has 1 angle. But none of you would know that because we're in silence.
Yeah.
I mean, you could drop the silence at any time.
I
It is your
could,
spell.
but then I also run the risk of
No.
making a lot of noise
Um,
with keys.
It worked. So the surprise shows.
Yeah, and all of you see
say-
Forge walk up and turn that, and you all kind of get the sense that, okay, that one seemed correct as far as you can tell. Nothing
So-
bad happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would the upside down T be next?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I would grab that key and put it into the 2 hole.
All right, another satisfying kind of clicking sensation.
Now here's where we run into the issue. It's either triangle or W following that path. Both of the other
think
2 have been
it's-
open, so I'm gonna go with the open pattern, so the W.
Okay, so you grab the W key, go to spin the cube to number 3. Seems
And
to
then
fit.
the 4th would be square X, but because I'm going with this open pattern, I'm gonna go with the X.
All
I
right,
put the X in.
number 4. As you turn that last key, the cube starts to vibrate, and almost like Tesseract, it seems to like expand, twist, contort, almost like this weird robotic Rubik's Cube, and it opens up an inner compartment, and inside the inner compartment you find 3 keys.
I wonder what that
Good job, Forge.
Yeah. So from there, I'm gonna drop the key, get over to a safe area where we're not gonna make a bunch of noise.
Okay.
And kind of motion for everyone to come over out of the silence.
So carefully you guys kind of step through this pile of keys, picking up the 3 keys within, and find yourself outside of the influence of the silence spell.
And I'm gonna remind everyone, be quiet. And I'm gonna point to the first door, the circular door. Go 1, the second door 2, and then the stick figure door 3.
Okay.
And kind of question which one we want to go through first.
Vordon's gonna gesture towards Forge, signifying that he wants to be the one to open the door. Number 2.
I'll nod. So
I love it.
so hold up whatever your vote is.
Lethieth can't stunt the enthusiasm of his smaller companions, so he will let it go with 2.
All right.
Mars is just gonna shrug. Just
Well, now we're tied, so. So it was a
Oh.
circular, you said, like, Hobbit style door?
Yeah, like imagine like Bilbo Baggins' front door in Hobbiton.
Right, that
Circular, big
circular
green
top.
door with like
Cool.
these like morning glories growing all around it. These beautiful like dark violet flowers. It's this
Second one
very
was spikes.
yeah like barbed wire, rough wrought iron rivets, very industrial, angry door, and then that weird kind of like cubist stick figure motion door. It seems like people were voting for door number 2.
It was
Yeah, I
split
forgot-
half and half.
forgot what it
three
was.
and two.
and when it was half and half, Mars would have just kind of like fuck it. And
Yeah.
2.
Two.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hand the key that goes to that door over to Vordon.
Okay. You have this very heavy, it kind of like weighs down in your hand, this like wrought iron, cold steel, like almost borderline spiky key that can only go to this door.
Vordon is struggling to hold the key up, but he's also struggling to not grunt as he bashes the key into the door quietly as he
And with
can.
the-
Before that happens, Forge is also going to take the other 2 keys because there was a very specific instruction not to take anything out. I'm going to put the keys in front of their respective doors. That way, if we come back into this room,
Okay.
we have that. But that way, I don't take anything out of the room and don't run the risk of any other curses or anything.
As you slam the key into the lock with a satisfying, you feel this giant bolt kind of slide back in, and you feel the wrought iron door kind of budge slightly as you tug on it. And it is heavy. With your tiny little gnomish frame, you kind of struggle to hop up and pull the door back, and it kind of slides bit by bit. But the door does open. And it opens into a familiar room for some.
Oh no.
This massive... Oh, these guys shouldn't be here. You have found already the atrium, this huge, expansive, and possibly large circular chamber. And you find yourself on almost like a balcony. There's maybe like about a 15-foot, what I'm thinking of, like a flight or a landing out into a railing, and you find yourselves looking down over just a sea of bookshelves. This endless, constantly shifting labyrinth of just silently moving and interchanging bookshelves. Those of you who don't rush up to the railing kind of look to your left and your right, and you can see this balcony seems to span the entire 360-degree width of this room. Looking up, you can see this giant dome glass ceiling and covering the entire atrium here. And the only source of light is this full red blood moon that kind of casts this eerie, almost like a developing room, very like the original Saw movie, that kind of vibe. Just this like eerie red light spilling over everything. You can see there are hundreds of these tiny little, almost like paper crane type creatures, just gently flitting around and flying above the bookcases, landing, and they seem to be like removing scrolls or tomes and just like working together in groups of 3 or 4 to like move books onto a different shelf, or almost like little attendants just organizing and shifting and moving things here. And the way they move is very almost cute and peaceful and adorable in a way. They seem very out of place in this otherwise monstrous place. And you can see from your perspective, down in the center of this labyrinth is a very large, what appears to be a lectern, with actually like a 3-step staircase leading up so as to be able to read this massive, about 8-foot wide book that's laying on the lectern open. Those of you who have been here before would recognize this as the center of the archives and your destination, where you need to go to propose your question.
Forge, having gone through what he went through last time he was here, is gonna kind of look around for an exit strategy, knowing that probably once the question gets asked, we're gonna have to hightail it.
You sort of look around and make me a perception check. All right. Kind of looking for some sort of exit. There's a bit of movement at the corner of your eye, and you look, and you see something heading towards you. On the same balcony as you, coming around sort of, I want to say the corner, coming around the bend, if you will.
Lethieth is probably frozen at the door.
Alright.
You can, like, hear his heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. It is eerily silent in here.
And he's just, like, looking up at the moon. He hasn't looked away. Kind of, like, rubs his hand on his pants to get rid of the sweat that's gathering in his palms before he steps forward.
Mars would kind of put a hand on Lethieth's, I guess not shoulder, because I'm assuming he's taller than her. Kind of like back, almost like a support kind of gesture. But her eyes are gonna glow like a purple for a second. And I'm gonna use my Vigilant Blessing feature.
Ooh, what does that do?
I forgot that I have a subclass at level 1, so I didn't put it on my sheet, but as an action, you give one creature you touch advantage on the next initiative roll the creature makes.
Oh, very
This
cool.
benefit ends immediately after the roll, or if you use the feature again.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice.
All right. You kind of feel this reassurance and this readiness, and as that happens, Q, go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Okay. Let's see if we can roll better. Again, not my best.
All right.
That's the
In this-
number today.
It is.
In this brief moment of lucidity and preparedness, you also see just a flicker of movement on your left, and your attention immediately snaps to it, and you can see, rounding the bend, appears to be two figures. They're far off, hard to see, kind of obscured slightly by the railing of the balcony, but they seem to be, like, fairly rapidly approaching in your direction.
Every part of him wants to go see if it's her. So he gathers himself. And to everybody else, he says, "We have to move now." And he takes them in the opposite direction.
As you start to run in the opposite direction, is everyone going?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
running, and on your left is the railing, sort of just around in this circle, and on the right you can see, spaced about every 15 feet or so, is a different door, each with its own unique character, its own unique build, its own personality, its own construction. But at this present moment, none of that matters. It's a very fight or flight, adrenaline rush scenario as you're rushing past door and door and door, just looking for some sort of escape. Vordon, you stop and you try just the nearest door. It happens to have like a picture of this like large owl, but it's locked from the side. You kind of give up on it and keep moving. You keep running for what feels like a minute or so, and you hear behind you, chasing you, just this voice. "No, please, wait, no, please, don't go, please, please." Way too loud, but this pleading behind you.
Is it a familiar voice, Luke?
It is not familiar.
Okay.
It sounds shaky, tired, exhausted, terrified, but small and masculine.
Forge is gonna stop, let the others pass, and, like, obviously mime to this guy to be quiet.
Okay.
And kind of just hold down the fort.
As you
Nothing's
as
past
you
him.
stop and the rest kind of keep going, maybe another 10 or 15 feet, you stop and turn, and chasing towards you is a very small halfling couple. A man and a woman, just kind of darting full sprint towards you. "No, no, no, please stop! Please!" Panting, "Stop! No, I just... Why? Okay. Honey, it's okay. It's okay. There's others. There's others. We're not alone."
Very quietly he goes, "Who are you?"
Lethieth,
sorry.
walk over.
Forge and Lethieth, make me an insight check really quick.
Okay.
I just made myself lightheaded from that panting. Whoa.
There we go. That's a good roll.
Yay.
No,
All right.
Lethieth is whammied. This is a bad place for him to be.
Yeah, no shit.
Forge, you would notice something kind of unique about these two halflings in front of you. Their clothing that they're wearing is simple, but the sort of fashion style, if you will, it's almost like if we were to see a picture, like someone walked up dressed in like the colonial times, you would recognize as like, okay, they're older. Like that's not you're
Long
getting
time
that
ago.
same sort of vibe here. Like the clothing they're wearing indicates that these people are from maybe about tough to say, at least a couple hundred years ago, maybe a little more. And they kind of stop. I'm Peter, and this is my wife Jane. We've been stuck here for God's knows how long, but it's so nice to see a friendly face. Please, hopefully.
We can get you out of here, but you have to listen to every instruction.
We'll do
You
whatever.
have to stay quiet.
Okay.
If the Watchers get to us, we will die.
What are the Watchers?
The creatures that give you exhaustion
Okay.
until you wither.
They kind of look at each other, and Jane kind of like mutually just like nods and just like the sort of universal shh symbol.
Okay.
Peter kind of lays in with a whisper. We'll do like a stage whisper. Why are you here? No one should be in this place. What? There's 5 of you. What are you doing here?
We must ask about the Cater Tree and how to regain the ability to grow a Cater Tree.
Jane kind of turns and in a very hushed tone, kind of a meek. So you're seeking knowledge as well.
Yes.
What knowledge
This
are you
isn't our
seeking?
first time.
She kind of looks up nervously at Q and kind of looks back to Peter, and they have like a silent conversation. You can see there's a look. These two have clearly been together for a while, and then you can kind of see. And there's like almost like an ask, and then Peter kind of nods and turns. Our boy, our son. He's very, very sick, and the best healers and the best doctors of the realm have been unable to cure him. We had almost given up hope, and a package arrived at our doorstep, and we were told that we could use this book to get answers.
Is your son with you guys in here?
No, he's far too sick to... He's bedridden, really. And Jane kind of pipes up. It gets worse every day. It's unlike any affliction you've ever seen. Has all of the medics baffled, really. Peter kind of turns and looks at all.
What is
We-
the date that you came here?
Sorry?
What was the date, the day, the year that you came here?
It's a Thursday, I believe, and Jane kind of nods. I believe it was 1187.
What year are we in right now?
You guys are in 1474. I believe. I might be wrong. It might be 1477. We will correct me if I'm wrong. It's 6? Okay. Well, it also has been a year in real time, so 1477.
Okay. Forge looks over to Q, Lethieth, and kind of like question whether it would even be smart to mention how much time has passed. Kind of leaving that up to groupthink rather than just going out with it.
But you don't want to tell them that their kid's probably already dead?
Yeah, I don't want them to freak out and make a lot of noise and start crying and stuff.
I do have experience with dead kids, so if we have to break the news.
I will do it. But not right now. We need to ask our question first.
That's
We've
also a
been
good idea.
we've been looking for. How do we ask a question? We've asked a million times.
This room will give you the answer when you sit on that podium.
Can we ask them a question?
We can.
How did they get in here?
Oh, they received a
given-
mysterious package that had the Accursed Archive in it.
Yeah.
And when they referenced it, they opened it and they got sucked into it, just like.
The problem is,
Oops.
there's only supposed to be one of these books.
It could be the same
It could be
book.
the same book.
It could be the same book from the time, because it's been a couple hundred years.
Don't say that too loud.
So
No,
it was
I'm
Peter
not
and
saying
Mary,
this
Luke.
kind of out of character.
Peter and Jane.
Peter and Jane.
I stole names from Spider-Man off the top of my head.
So you're saying they're not important to the
What
plot?
is your last name? And what is your son's name?
Kind of look to each other. Well, we're not really, nobles or nothing. We don't really have a fancy surname like a lot of the rich folk do. But, around the village, we like to call ourselves the Tealeafs.
And your son?
It's charming boy. It's Ryan.
Ryan Tealeaf. Is that name of being in the Tealeaf Guild Hall?
There has
would
to
I
be like a
have gotten
family
into,
tree or something.
Yeah.
Make a history check.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Anyone here can also make a history check. Kind of group check.
I'm worried about their kid. I'm not worried about the history. Wait.
Or is he, because the Tealeaf family lived on?
Well, I don't know.
So-
I just showed up.
Forge, you've spent a fair amount of time, and in that entry hall, when you first enter, there's like all of these famous portraits of these very distinguished, noble-looking halflings of the Tealeaf family. You feel pretty confident. I mean, you haven't like studied their family tree per se, but like you've been around for a bit, and you've seen all the portraits, and there hasn't been any mention of any of the names, Peter, Jane, or Ryan. None of those ring a bell. Listen, I understand there's a lot of questions, but if we can get down to that book down there, you said we could ask our question there, right?
Yes. Though I have to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time has passed.
What do you mean?
Do you want me to say it?
Perhaps not.
No.
You might be a little too forward for this conversation.
Understand.
Our time
Mm-hmm.
is 1477.
There's like a look of bewilderment and confusion, and Jane kind of speaks. So you're from the future? How is that possible?
This book is timeless.
So
The
our
book
boy,
that you were given is timeless.
Forge kind of gets down on their level and goes, but we know of a few tea leaves. Perhaps they can give you answers if we get out of here.
Okay.
We must ask our question to the archive.
We will. Could we both ask our questions? We'll work together. We'll get down there, and Jane and I will ask our question, and then you can ask your question, and we'll find a way out of here.
Unfortunately, in my experience, events happen after the first question is asked. I'm not 100% sure that we could get 2 answers out in one go.
Okay. So. But we've been here for ages.
And if we don't find the answer to our questions, the world as we know it could cease to exist based on the current events. It is utmost important that we get to ask our question first. Perhaps we'll be able to ask your question again or at another time.
Make a persuasion check. Pretty high DC.
Yeah, and I'm not very good at that.
I'm good.
I could.
I can help.
RP into it. Get into the conversation.
You see, again, there's like a silent conversation between Peter and Jane. There's like a nod, and Peter kind of turns. Okay, if you promise to help us, we'll come with you. Safety in numbers and all that, right?
You're here.
Precise. If we have to fight our way out of there, don't put yourselves in danger. We will get you out of here. Just stay with us.
I've got a little. He like pulls out the small dagger. So I've got this for protection. I didn't know. I just keep it on me when I travel. But and Jane just kind of shakes her head. We'll stay behind you. All right.
Do I think the moment that we get to that podium, they're going to run up there?
Make an insight check.
Come
That be all of us or
on.
Nice.
That nod that they gave each other said a lot. Without words, it said a lot. You might be onto something there, Lethieth.
If you ask your question, we are all going to be trapped in here, and you will be returned to a place where you are out of time. I assure you, there are tea leaves on the other side. Please, I am begging you not to make that mistake.
Make your choice: intimidation or persuasion.
Ooh, okay.
Can I cast guidance on him?
You got it in before the roll, so yeah, I can. I'll say guidance from Mars. You can go ahead and add a D4 to that persuasion. So 13. You kind of see that look of fear and understanding. Guess we've got no choice but to trust you. You seem capable enough. We should get a move on.
Right this way.
You guys
Start walking.
press on around the balcony, and eventually you come to a sliding ladder that seems to almost glide as if to greet you, leading you down to the ground level of the atrium. One by one, you slowly throw a leg over the rail and descend down, 3, 4 levels down to the ground floor. And that sense of vertigo kind of kicks in as you look below you, and you are very high up here, but you steel yourselves and one by one make it down to the ground floor. Peter and Jane kind of coming last, and Peter kind of helping Jane down from the ladder, and you see before you this endless labyrinth of bookshelves that seem to almost shift and move with every passing second.
when we get to the destination, only one person goes up. The rest of us hide and prepare to run from whatever could come for us.
Okay.
And before we get to that point, because I forgot to do it before, I'd like to cast aid on myself, Nyx, and Wolfie's character. I forgot the
Mars. Okay.
Mars.
So
Yep.
all of you guys can add a temporary +5 to your maximum hit points. Just make sure you mark your current max, so it doesn't adjust it after the game, basically. You guys stand before the shifting labyrinth.
Mars is just keeping an eye on the two halflings. She'll stick kind of close to them, make sure
Okay.
that they're nice and safe.
Sure. They do seem terrified, but in a weird way, like very like Survivor-esque. They're extremely relieved that they found something, and you guys seem to be helpful. So they're sticking close to you, just as close as you're sticking to them. But you set into this labyrinth of bookshelves, heading towards the podium, heading towards the lectern. Who's leading the way?
Not it.
And will.
All right, Vordon, I need a survival check. With a 15, you trust your intuition and your sense of direction, and you begin to navigate through this twists and turns and angles of this maze, and you all get this sense of wonder and curiosity just kind of overtakes you as you're stepping through, and these bookshelves are just crammed, stacked full with books of all different shapes and sizes and texts and colors. On the spines, you can see different languages. There are books of every possible subject you can imagine, and kind of crammed in on these shelves alongside these books, there are ships and bottles, and there are skeletons and strange jars with like floating like creatures inside. There are just bindings and maps and scrolls and just so much information. It's breathtaking. As you round a corner, you can see this massive suit of ornate armor you would recognize as Diosian in style, if a little bit antiquated. In particular, it looks like maybe like an old uniform of maybe the Silver Hand. So you continue on forward, and I need another survival check.
Before I do this, Gordon's gonna look at Forge. It's gonna be like, Forge, make sure that our friends do not have anything they're not supposed to have.
He nods and turns to them. Have you grabbed any items in your time here that you did not bring with you?
Both of them shake their head.
Can he tell if they're telling the truth?
Yeah, make an insight check. Best you can tell, they're telling the truth.
Okay.
As you press on, an 18 in survival, just weaving your way into the heart of this labyrinth. Every single breath, you make that effort to just as gently and quietly as you can, and each footstep of your group seems to just echo just infinitely, just every last sound. You can kind of hear your heart beating in your chest, and you're just willing it to be quiet as you press on further and further and further. You see a small group of those strange paper-like, almost paper swan-like creatures, but as they come close, you can tell they're not swans. These are actually tiny little paper dragons. Grab a purple tome off of a shelf and kind of struggle with the weight and kind of dip down a little bit, but pick it up and float and sort of bring it high up to a distant shelf and far away. Press on, continuing, and I need one final survival check.
Before he does that check, I'm gonna let the others who haven't been here and that Peter and Jane know, if anything happens, find the bell and ring it. That's our way out.
A bell?
the bell. You'll know it when you see it.
Here we go.
All right. Pressing forward, you round a corner, and suddenly this narrow, maybe 5 foot wide expanse opens up, and you can see there are 2 lit torchlights that illuminate this massive bookstand with 3 single steps leading up to it, and just this 8-foot span of the Index Incarnata sitting there before you. The very same book that you read to enter this place, magnified, the heart of the archives. And as you kind of open up into this larger expanse, you can see the small little bell next to a rope pole, which Forge had described. You stand before the Index. You see Peter and Jane kind of exchange a look.
Forge is gonna grab those 2 and find a safe hiding spot, because I remember last time when we asked the question, some shenanigans happened and we had to hide.
Okay, so
I want to go with him.
finding the closest little spot you can to still have visibility, but make a break for it.
Jane and Peter close in case they try to run to the book as well.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like leading them, like kind of corralling them.
Okay.
I want to hide too.
All right. So everyone who's hiding, go ahead and make me a stealth check.
I'm not good at those.
Whew.
I'm apparently good at those. Oh boy.
You
got
I'm
double
a heavy
speed,
armor. It's disadvantage anyways.
Yeah. Alrighty, Forge, you're kind of more preoccupied. Like, you're trying to hide, but you're like more preoccupied on like keeping these 2 halflings from booking it. So you're kind of like, keeping your eye closer on them. So that leaves Q and Mars standing before the lectern.
Mars will kind of look at Q. So, what is it we are doing here?
We ask the book a question that we seek the answers to, in this case, about the Kador tree. Boarding is very particular. That's probably what makes me hesitate the most. Trying to extract this knowledge is possibly going to come out at all. The exhaustion that Marigold spoke of. I think I should ask, but I'm not entirely sure what to say.
I have just met you, but have faith. Search your heart. I know you'll find the right words. So help us all.
He's going to step up onto the podium.
All right.
Like almost through the memory of Brenna having done so, and through the memory of Gregor having done so, and because those were the last 2 times he was here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna place his hand over the book.
You can kind of see this like inky blackness, kind of like dropping a pebble in a pond, kind of like wave out from your touch. Seems receptive.
Can the Kador tree be restored?
You exhale as pages start to ripple, and you see this font, although it's blurry and unintelligible, begin to form. And a small little paper origami dragon flutters down from high in that blood-red sky, circling down, and lands gently on your shoulder. Kind of turns and almost like wordlessly chirps at you. It's very expressive and very adorable for such a tiny little creature, and you can see it's almost made out of the pages of a book. It seems you can see like writing kind of in between the folds and the wings and the face. And it kind of curls around your shoulder like a little scarf, and kind of spreads out its wings and glides forward and lands on the ground, kind of circles around and looks back towards you, almost asking you to follow.
Turn to follow.
As you follow, it kind of takes a few steps and jumps and glides a little further, kind of landing next to Forge and Thraken and Vordon and the halflings. It kind of turns and looks at you and kind of looks up curiously and expressively, but kind of circles around and looks back to Lethieth and Mars.
Continue.
Peter
I'm
and
gonna
Jane
corral
kinda,
them out of hiding.
Peter and Jane
because-
kind of step up and look. I thought you said we had to be ready to run.
Last time this happened, they turned black and we got chased out of here.
It didn't. Everything seems okay.
Yeah, Lethieth was waiting for that toll to be drawn from him too, and it didn't happen.
Make
Yeah.
me a charisma saving throw with that.
Okay, those are the words I was waiting for, DM.
Mhm.
Charisma saving throw. Oh, ooh, hold on. I don't gain advantage from that, just proficiency in it, right? From my
From your crown, yeah.
mantle?
Yep.
Let me click the proficiency on that then.
There you go.
Okay, and then charisma. Oh no.
All right. Interestingly enough, you feel that pull, but you feel whole. You feel the attempt at pulling out the toll, as it were. But apparently this is a very low DC. Your question was phrased very elegantly.
Okay.
You see Peter and Jane kind of looking, and Peter kind of... I know. Is it okay if we ask our question now?
Forge, do you think that's a good idea?
I'm not so sure that's a good idea.
I say we let him.
There's a chance that them asking their question could interrupt the answer to ours, or worse, get us all killed.
Or worse, expelled.
Thank you.
And you don't want to know where you end up then. So, they look down. He looks down at them and says, "Our time might already have the answer to your question."
Kind of exchange a look up to you, look back. They nod at each other, and Jane kind of speaks up and goes, "But in 200 years, that could possibly mean..." And as she speaks, Peter makes a break for it.
I'm gonna send my echo 15 feet out and chase it after him, and then teleport in front of him.
Oh shit. Okay, so as you're running and switching, I'd say Lethieth, being the closest one, make me an athletics check.
Fuck. Okay. God damn it, roll.
You reach out and he tucks and rumbles, quite acrobatically in fact, escaping your grapple and books it forward. You can see he's just barely started to make it up the stairs.
God
I
damn,
cast
Tealeaf.
sleep.
Halt.
You cast sleep.
I cast
Sleep.
command. I cast command and say halt.
And, okay, so, kind of simultaneously as this happens, go ahead and roll the dice on sleep.
And DC 14 Wisdom save for the command.
Sleep is what, 6d10, is it?
I think it's 5d8.
Oh, it's a 5d8?
Yeah.
Let me just click. Okay.
That is a natural 20 on the wisdom saving throw.
Oh shit.
Yep. Alrighty. But as he stands up there, he kind of trips and stumbles and goes to stand up. And kind of begins to nod off and falls asleep. And Jane just kind of goes, no, please, you don't understand. We've been in here for so long. Please don't hurt him. We're just trying to ask. We just want to save our baby boy.
Jane.
We just want to save our baby boy. We just want to ask our question and we'll leave you alone. We'll go ring the bell right there and say, please.
We work for your ancestors.
Ding.
We work for Tealeafs.
We just want to ask the question. We just want to ask the question. It's not
Good
gonna hurt
time in
you.
here, huh? Risk of death, people running.
Lethieth is gonna walk over to Peter.
Mm-hmm. Just sleeping like a baby right on the steps.
He's gonna look to the others and he's gonna say, okay. You guys follow the dragon. Find the answer about the Kador tree. I'll stay here. Oh. Let them ask their question.
You were the one that asked the question. You're the one
Yes.
that has to get the answer.
It's already floating that way.
And the dragon just kind of like, almost like idly bored, like an NPC in an escort quest, just kind of like jumping from shelf to shelf, just like waiting, kind of looking down curiously. Not necessarily impatiently, but just
The
hanging
answer
out.
waits for you. Q. I can stay here
Anybody
with
got any
one
rope?
of them. You get the other out. They might have answers, more answers on that Reginald
I don't think
might
either of
know.
I don't think either of them are willing to spend years and years apart. They've already lost their son.
What choice do we have at this point?
Let him ask the question. That's all we ask. We'll leave you alone.
Jane,
This is-
look to me. I understand. I've got someone I'm trying to save too. But we can't do that. The world is at risk. You and your husband, you're together right now and we can get you out of here together. I'm gonna be honest. The chances that your son is still alive are very slim, but I don't know what it is that afflicted him. Maybe something's kept him, and he's there, waiting for you to get out of this book. I don't know. It could be that you return to nothing except his grave. But you do have family out there. Like Forge said, we work for the Tealeafs. This is their crest. Will you please follow us?
Gonna wake up, right? You didn't just kill my husband.
We didn't kill your husband.
Wake him up.
Just fine.
Wake him
I'll
up.
I'll wake him up.
Kind of stirs a little bit, and Peter kind of, oh, in that like little half moment between sleeping and waking, just kind of looks around, and it seems like he's almost remembering where he is, and kind of immediately that like stark reality hits, and he kind of looks up at you. You tried to grab me. You tried to stop me.
Listen to your wife.
Honey, I know we've been here for a long time, but they said We have to trust them, and if they work, they had a symbol. They had, like those fancy rich folk, they had a symbol, a picture. It looked really nice.
What
Honey.
was the symbol?
It's the symbol of the tea leaves. Future heirs.
How do we know they're not pulling the wool over our eyes, Jane? How do we know? This place is all sorts of creepy and nonsensical. Nothing makes sense here. How do we know? How do we know? How can we trust you? What if this is all a farce, coming from the future, with your fancy armor and your symbols? This is bullshit. If we could really trust you, you'd let us just ask the question about our boy.
You're being very loud, and you can't be loud in here.
We could also just knock them both out, and then they cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm with that. Let's just tie him up.
It's a waste of time. You're wasting time. We have a job to do, do we not? You're focused on these people. They have nothing to do with what we are doing here.
We don't know that.
They seem to be very difficult, and we
have never met anyone in the archives before.
But the
These
dragons
people
get
are
bored.
important. Let's go. Please.
They should speak to Marigold and Reginald, the tea leaves of our time.
We could bring
Perhaps
them
they
back
can
in here.
get more answers.
There's a tension in
Forge
the air that
turns
you
to
could...
Peter, and
So Peter is up on the pedestal still right next to Lethieth.
he walks up and says, "We have ways of coming back here. If we leave, we might be able to come back and then ask your
Why
question."
would we want to come back? We're right here. We've worked so hard. All we have to do is ask. We're right here.
Because don't you want to leave here alive?
Of course we want to leave here alive.
If you
Nothing
ask the
bad
question,
happens when you asked your question. It's only fair that we can ask ours.
But I've seen something bad happen.
I
when
don't
you
give a
ask the
flying fuck what you've seen, you fucking shiny middleman. You don't even make any sense, you futuristic fuck. Listen, my boy is sick. I will do whatever it takes to help him. If that means asking a fucking book in this crazy fucking place, I'm going to ask a question.
Now you listen to me. My name is Vordon Hingle.
I literally could give less of a shit.
And that's how I feel about you right now, because if you're the reason any of my friends get killed in here, I will ring hellfire on the tea leaves for as long as I live.
Make an intimidation check.
Who's near Jane right now?
That would be... So Forge walked up, so I think Mars would be the closest to Jane.
I'm gonna take my hammer out
Ooh.
and start walking towards her.
What are you doing? What is that? And Peter kind of looking over it, like completely ignoring Vordon, kind of looks back. What are you doing, dwarf? Don't you touch her.
Up, you're too fucking loud. Shut up.
If you would like to stay here, Mr. Tealeaf, for another 100 and some years, then ask your question. But we are leaving, and I think your wife has been convinced that she should come with us.
And he turns and he walks away.
Forge follows.
Honey. And Jane kind of... Peter? Don't let him hurt me, Peter. Peter! And Peter just kind of stands there and goes, honey, our boy. Our boy. We both love him very much. And Jane goes, honey, I love you. I love you and I love him. There's this moment of tension.
Just come with us, Peter, and your boy, if he is alive, will have a mother to come back to.
Sounds like a good bargain to me.
Peter turns, looks at all of you, looks at Jane, and just whispers under his breath, "I'm sorry." Immediately turns to the archive, touches it, and in a shout, yells, "How do we save our boy?"
I'm going to run after the dragon. I don't care. I don't care, I'm gone. I'll tell Marigold that she's got relatives stuck in this fucking book. I don't care.
This is all
You
Reginald's
see a ripple of so Lethieth and Forge would probably be the closest. And as you go to like spells ready, you see this ripple on the book, and this black ink kind of begins to spread out from where he touched. And you see 2 words form on the pages. It just says in this very ornate calligraphy font, it says, "The Architect." And then
Okay.
nothing happens. It's quiet. Jane looks up at Mars, terrified, and Peter kind of stands at the top and just looks back. Kind of like looking around, waiting for the world to end. And it's silent.
What the fuck?
We must go now.
No.
Or is this gonna sigh and attempt to light a cigarette in this place?
Oh, not with the books. Okay.
You spark
Does
up.
it work?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Survival's my.
Hey.
Gotta follow the dragon. I'm following the dragon.
Yeah,
Alright.
we're getting out of here.
We're done.
You-
Can't stand here
Alright.
too much longer, no.
You see Jane just kind of like slowly slink away, just backing towards her husband.
You asked your question. You come with us now or stay where you are. Your
How's-
choice.
The bell's
And
right
I'm-
there. I think we're gonna go.
When you return, you're probably going to find a red-headed woman with emerald eyes. Halfling, of course. Her name is Marigold.
Perhaps
Ask her
someone
to
should
tell you the
return
story
with
of
them.
the Tealeafs.
People are crazy. You people are crazy. None of this makes sense. She runs up, gives
Will-
Peter a giant hug, and they just seem lost in this embrace for just a moment. Tears streaming down both of their faces.
Boy.
And they turn and just look back at you and just shoot daggers at the 5 of you and just walk, never breaking eye contact, towards the bell.
Should we shoot daggers into them, or do you think they're gonna be okay?
I'd like to.
They're going back to...
It's wherever the Accursed Archive is, so they'd end up in the guild hall with Marigold. Because time doesn't move, so she's still sitting there with the book.
You hear just ding, ding, 2 rings of a bell.
Let's
And
hope
they're
that
gone.
means we can get out.
Wait a minute. If you says time doesn't work in here, why would their time pass?
Time is very slow here.
They've been here for a really long time. In, like, the archive world.
For what's been the 200 years outside has been millennia here.
Just saying, maybe they hit the bell and go back to their time.
Let's hope it's so.
Our friend Gloria that met you at the door, her time was millennia ago, and she was here and tortured. We saved her. They go back to our time. Perhaps someone should join them. So
They're already gone. We have a job to do.
And that's where we're going to take our short rest, guys. Holy shit. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little 5-10 minute break. We get some drinks, use the bathroom. We will be right back. Please stick around because we've got our own questions to answer. And have our viewer's choice favorite to vote in a little bit. We're doing pretty good on time. I think we'll be all right. So stick around. We will see you in just a little bit. Stay tuned. We're just kind of litting. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate you. It's 0 stars. Get rid of that shit. We appreciate you hanging out during that little short rest. We're going to dive right back into it. Please stick around to vote for whoever you think is doing the best here, whoever you want to see more of. We're probably right around schedule, so probably right around 9:30. So, as you hear the ringing of the bells as Peter and Jane exit the Accursed Archives, you guys decide to part ways and follow this tiny little paper origami dragon as it just glides from bookshelf to bookshelf, leading you deeper into the archives. Who's taking the lead on this?
I went first last time, so you can go.
Who has good survival?
I did my part.
I can
don't
lead.
know
I have
where's the
decent
fuck I'm
survival and other stats as well. I can take the lead. I'll have my shield
All
out
right.
ready, be in
So,
front.
kind of ready to go. Forge, go ahead and make a survival check. Following this little dragon, seems simple. It's patient and it waits for you, and it's only about 3 turns. It seems very short, a very direct route before you reach a door. And on the door is a sign, and on the sign there is a word. The word on the sign on the door says storage. And the little dragon goes up to the door and kind of almost paper paws against it, spins around happy like a little tiny dog, and sort of looks at you and fluffs up its wings.
And I look at Vordon and go,
And you see this
Wait,
little
look at the
paper
Japanese
dragon. You see this little paper dragon. If a dragon could bow gracefully before taking off and sort of fluttering off and joining back up into the circle of them above you.
if you would do the honors, Vordon.
Are you guys ready?
We are ready.
All right. And Vordon grabs onto the door,
Mm-hmm.
and he looks back one more time at his friends and smiles just in case shit hits the fan, and he opens the door.
You open the door and it's dark. At first, your eyes kind of have to adjust from the red light, and it opens into this expansive room. And looking around are just mountains and mountains and mountains of all sorts of useless, random junk stacked into piles, yay high. It is absolutely like a hoarder's nest in here. You see old bird cages and train sets and silverware and books and you name it. There are portraits and frames. There are little tiny dice on the ground. There are tops. There are baseball bats. It is just absolute, just a smorgasbord of junk. And as you step forward, kind of eyeing it all, this artwork might look familiar to some of you.
It's just yellow text at the moment.
In the center of the room is a spirit. This very faded, dulled, gray, almost brown woman sort of floats in the center and just kind of watches as all of you approach. It's fairly large. It's maybe about 12 or 13 feet tall, just kind of hovering above all these piles of junk. She waits as you approach. Kind of looks expectant.
Did you say it was dark in here, or?
It's lit enough. You don't necessarily need to cast any spells or anything.
Is anyone else shitting themselves?
You look familiar at all?
Mars, make either a nature or a history check.
In the meantime,
Oh.
I'm gonna pull out my Mace of Disruption.
Okay.
Make that my main hand for the light effect.
Oh, what is that? Did it not work? Oh no, it's not rolling. Oh.
There you go. Being from the Endless Forest, you've maybe heard of spirits, dryads, fey creatures of something like this. This seems somewhat similar to that, although it's different in a weird way. It's hard to describe. But it's some sort of like a tree spirit or something like of that nature, you'd gather.
Okay.
Perhaps Spirit of the Cater?
Ooh, that could make sense.
Its eyes kind of light up and it looks down towards you, Forge. Doesn't say anything yet.
Forge, ask her if we can have a seed.
Why did that sound inappropriate?
Because he wants Forge to ask her for her seed.
He's gonna give a polite bow.
Yeah, Forge is also gonna bow.
Do you know why we're here?
It nods.
We come before you to restore the Cater tree to the outside world. Would you
It
be
sort
able
of
to help?
looks curious at you and ponders for a moment before shaking its head. It seems like the word choice you used shakes its head. But it speaks, and in this sort of echoing, booming voice, it speaks the first haiku to you. It says, "Made of trees and ink, I'm full of words, fun and wise, for you to enjoy." And then holds out its sort of like branched hands expectantly.
It's looking for a book of some sorts.
Yeah, Lethieth is gonna look about the mess of things for a book.
Make an investigation check or a perception check. Hero's choice.
Anyone or just
Anyone.
What were they? Sorry, investigation or
Or perception.
well, fairy tree lady.
Alright. Lethieth, easy enough. You kind of look around, and in one of the stacks of random junk, you find a book. And you hand it to the spirit, who nods and takes it and stacks it in a neat pile right behind her. This tree spirit then goes on to say these other 8 riddles. I'll read them aloud. And just rattles them off one after another, not giving you a chance to really take a break, and just continues to repeat them over and over in a cycle, giving you time to search. The first one. Snow white, ruby eyes, I can hear you from afar with my floppy ears. Morning sun shines on teardrops from a frozen spear, piercing winter sky. Big fish made of wood, people cross the deep water in its empty belly. No doors, no windows, a small red house on a tree, inside lives a star. Hungry twin sisters, same height, always together. Try every food first. Listen to my rhythm, I'm the sound of your heartbeat, played since ancient times. And the last one, I may seem still, but I'm turning, spinning, whirling. If I stop, I fall. So you guys have got this one down. I will move that to that layer.
Hold on. I can't read them, so let me.
Okay, so Snow White, ruby eyes, I can hear you from afar with my floppy ears.
It's a rabbit.
Rabbit. So maybe a statue of a rabbit.
Alright, so go ahead, if you want to look for a rabbit, go ahead and make either perception or investigation check. Alright. You guys split up and start looking around, and Mars, you actually see, amidst all of this junk and scattered things, there's a cage, and bursting out of the cage is this snow white rabbit that just starts sprinting around. Like an albino with these like beady red eyes, and just starts booking it around on the ground.
I'm gonna try to catch the rabbit.
All right, as you try to catch it, go ahead and make me an athletics check.
God damn it.
Oh,
Yeah.
easy enough. You see this thing and it tries to juke you, and you're just like, Psh, I'm from the endless forest. Just snatch out and grab the thing by the scruff, and it kind of kicks and whines a little bit and screams like rabbits can scream, like you would not believe. But it stays quiet after a while, and you kind of grab it and present it. And solve the second riddle.
Icicle?
Icicle,
I was
yeah.
thinking icicle, too.
Morning sun shines on teardrops from a frozen spear, piercing the winter sky.
All right.
So, an icicle.
All right. So who wants to look for an icicle? It'll take one person.
I'll look for the icicle.
Oh, all right. Vordon, go ahead and make an either perception or investigation check.
Alright. We're gonna go with investigation, of course.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, pretty nice. You're walking around, and it takes you a good bit, so we'll come back to you. We'll get to the next riddle, whoever would like to go.
Do we have to do them in order, or can we just...
You can span out and bring them all.
Big fish made of wood is a boat, for sure.
I may seem
Alright.
still, but turning is the top.
All right, so Forge, you want to look for a boat, and Striken, you want to look for a top?
I mean, I'm more looking for a bottom, but, I mean...
Go ahead and make perception or investigation checks. I love it. Alright, so as they're fanning out and looking, Vordon, you're kind of searching, and you actually, like, wander off to a far corner. You start to get, like, a little shiver, and you look around, and there's, like, a frozen ice box, and dangling from the top of that ice box are two large, like, foot-long icicles, and you kind of run up and snap one off and bring it, and, correctly guess icicle.
Aha! Forge, look what I got. It's pointy, like a dagger.
Alrighty, who's
Super
up
Dryad.
next? So we've got Forge is looking for a boat, Striken's looking for a top. That would leave Mars and Lethieth if you guys want to handle a different riddle.
Listen to the rhythm is probably a drum. So
Okay.
I'll look for a drum.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception or investigation check. Alright. So it takes you a while, so that would bring us back to Forge. You're looking for a boat. Pretty confident in that fourth riddle. As you're looking around, you eventually find kind of a knocked over bookshelf, and kind of tucked into one of those shelves is like a ship in a bottle that you pick up and kind of shake around a little bit. And some of the pieces are broken, but it still seems mostly intact. It's recognizable as a boat. You bring that back, and sure enough, she accepts it, puts it in the pile behind her. That would bring us to Striken. You are looking through junks, and you have to like dig and pull stuff out of the way, and you find like a yo-yo, and you find a puzzle, and you're like, okay, there's got to be a top in this section, and you like pull out like a ball in a cup kind of thing, and you like go to like toss it behind you, and the ball snaps and pings off of a giant like wooden chest that falls and tumbles and rolls down, and it spills out open, and just so happens to land in front of you with this perfectly spinning top.
Woo!
All right,
I
so
mean-
you take the top, present it to the spirits, and solve that riddle.
I think I know the Hungry Twin Sisters one.
I do
But I'm
too.
not
I
sure.
definitely do.
Is it
Alright.
chopsticks?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what I was. Okay.
Okay.
That was gonna be my guess.
As you guys are kind of getting to the river and fanning out and searching for things, Mars, you look and you're stumbling and you find like, all sorts of exotic things, and like curiosity kind of starts to get the better of you, and you're like, oh, what's this thing? You find like a really nice like silver polished hand mirror, and you're like, if I wasn't in the archive, this would be worth a pretty penny. Searching, and you actually trip and fall, and your head goes straight through this like giant set of bongo drums, like one through one of the sides, and you're like, well, I found the drum. But you take that back and kind of hoist it up and bring it back, and she accepts it begrudgingly. So
What about the no doors one? Since we're
It's
kind
a-
of green. Is it an apple?
I think So Forge was gonna look at the one in the middle here.
Me and
Okay, so you guys can
Vordon were
both make.
both kind of.
You can make investigation or perception checks. Lethieth, which one were you looking towards?
The only one left is the small red, no doors one. So I'll
There's
go
one
with
up here, too.
apple.
There's also the tea one.
Okay.
Which
I thought
one,
it was
sorry?
birdhouse.
Boil water
oh.
and pour over the dry leaves and sip its steamy fragrance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll look for tea.
Okay. So go ahead and make investigation checks, all of you. Forge, easy enough. Thinking chopsticks. I thought that one was going to be a stumper. But you remember when you walked in, you saw like a set of silverware, and you kind of go digging through that, and sure enough, there's like a very fine set of silverware from the Ebonward, or chopsticks from the Ebonward Isles. It's like some noble probably lost these and ended up in the archive. So you pick them up, deliver them, and easy enough. You guys are good at riddles. Lethieth, searching. You kind of follow your nose, and there's like this like small alchemical set, all sorts of like dried herbs and such, and you manage to find like a small little brick of folded tea leaves.
Okay.
That'll work. Sure enough, that's what she was looking for. So there's one last one here. I think a couple people had a guess at it.
Apple.
I want to say it's an apple because the apple core, maybe as the star, and then small red house on a tree, red on a tree, apple.
What if it's a Granny Smith apple?
Well, you got me there.
For some reason,
I mean, if
it was
there's any other
birdhouse.
ideas.
I would think it was apple too. I can't
Is there
think
a
of
bird
anything.
star in the name?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make an investigation check. Forge, easy enough. Actually, like right behind her, just out of her vision, you kind of like climb up one of the mountains, grab off the top. It's like slightly rotted, and you see like a worm kind of crawl out of it. But you're like, "It's an apple." You present it to her. She takes it, and she stops muttering the 9 riddles. Kind of straightens up her posture, and you hear her say, "Thank you." And she speaks one more haiku to you. And in her presentation, it seems that this riddle is the answer to your question. City of Freedom, elegant office decor, gambler's den of death. And with that, viewer's choice is alive, folks. So get those votes in.
So in Kadoria, an elegant office decor, gambler's den of death. So
It's a piece of furniture, or it was made into a piece of furniture somewhere.
Somebody's love seat is magic.
or someone has the seeds hidden inside of some sort of decoration or something, like maybe like a seed artwork or something that could contain the Kador seed.
What if it's
So I'm just trying to think. It wouldn't just be like one little piece of Kador wood, because I mean we could scour the entire Earth to try to do that. We kind of were talking about, can it be restored?
Right.
what's the front door of the guild hall?
It's a wooden door.
But gambler's den of death. So
With that, the tree spirit slowly fades out of existence, and you start to hear
Oh boy.
rumbling.
Oh boy.
we should go.
Alrighty. Running past and searching as panic begins to set in, you find, actually, interestingly enough, ingenuity sets in, and you manage to find a bell and a rope and a piece of wood, and you manage to construct yourself a small little pulley and pull the bell and get yourselves back to the Tealeaf Adventuring Company Guild Hall before too much trouble breaks out. And there you can see sitting, looking concerned, is Marigold and Gloria as the five of you kind of pop out, landing in various unpleasant poses on the ground. You've made it out.
What about the other two?
Sort of look around. The five of you.
Nobody else
Hey,
came
did you
through,
see
Marigold.
Okay, that was quite fast. I'm so happy. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you all made it. Is everyone hurt? Is everyone okay?
Did somebody else come through? 2 people.
No, it's been less than a minute. What are you talking about? You met someone in there?
We met 2 people who claim to be Tealeafs.
Really?
And their son was sick.
Jane and Peter. Their son Ryan.
I can ask Reginald, but I've never heard those names before. Gloria kind of turns and goes, well then, did you find the location of the Cador tree?
Forge is gonna recite the haiku. City of Freedom, elegant office store, gambler's den of death.
Elegant office decor.
Decor, sorry.
Gambler's den of death.
A riddle then.
Perhaps
Nothing is ever
in a
easy.
casino.
There are several casinos here in Cador. Perhaps this is
Exactly.
worth looking into a bit more. Thank you. We've got something to go off of. Okay, this is a start at least. Thank you. Vordon, you have something behind on your shoulder? She kind of like reaches over and grabs, and there's a small scroll, kind of that was just like resting on your shoulder when you popped out. She kind of takes it.
Does that mean I broke the rules?
Perhaps.
Maybe, but this is the magic item for tonight. So
It was behind my big ears.
yeah. So guys, congrats. You guys survived your your archive mission. You're all going to earn 1 Tealeaf point, as is customary. We're gonna let viewers' choice tick down, and I'll do DM's choice. But for experience tonight, what I would like each of you to do is to take your level times 345. So if you are level 1, you would get 345 experience. If you are level 2, you would get 690 experience. Nice. And so on and so forth. So yeah, pretty big experience drops here. You guys did a great job. I loved all the role play. So
Thanks for the carry.
It was times 345, right?
yeah. So for the level 5s in the party,
1725.
yeah, 1725. That's a pretty nice drop.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got clues to investigate. Sounds like you guys are
I dinged.
on. You ding? Nice. Level 4?
Yes, you're so
Congrats.
much closer. Join me. And you'll know fear.
Alrighty, and then obviously Mars dinged to level 2.
Yep.
Nice. Couple dings. Very cool.
Channel divinity.
There you go. Alrighty, good job, folks. We'll just let that viewer's choice tick down. Looks like we got a decent amount of votes already. It is anybody's race still,
did
though.
I level up? I leveled up.
Did you? You're level 6 now?
What?
Let's fucking go.
Woo, woo.
Very nice.
Weeble, you're gonna have to help me with this sheet after.
Yeah, level 4, we can help you out.
Oh yeah, level 4s are always fun, right?
Yep.
How to do what now?
Alrighty, well, while this is ticking down... got like 3 minutes left? Yeah, we'll just let that tick down. Let's see, Monday nights? What do we got going on? Did we decide on anything for Monday night?
I think we're painting.
Nice! We're gonna do the wee woo paint and sip. Okay. So hang
gonna
out
be
Monday
so
night.
Fun.
That will be fun. That will be fun. I'll try to make it to that. Hopefully work isn't too crazy, but I would like that a lot. That'd be fun. So hang out for that, and then next week, Thursday, if all goes according to plan, fingers crossed, I think it's going to be another mixed tier mission, and Mr. Wee Woo's going to DM again. We're going to try to get me all set up and teach me how to do Twitch things, because I need to learn those things, so I'll be producing and Wee Woo be in the DM seat.
Marigold.
Yes.
Have you heard of the architect?
Architects. I'm going to actually roll for her. She might have heard this. I will use her attack main staff, Marigold. Oh, her character sheet takes so long to load. There's so much stuff on here. She kind of... It rings. I think there was like something up north. Maybe there was like a cult or something. It rings a bell, but I could look into it a little more. But off the top of my head, sorry.
That's okay. It's just something to keep in mind. It was the answer to Peter and Jane's question.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick your brain a little bit more about all that. I've never met anyone else in the archive before. That's just bizarre.
It appears that you do not know how the archive works, at least not as you say it does.
How do you mean?
Well, we expected the halflings to come out in front of you, but they did not, so clearly they must have gone back to their time.
There's like a look of an awful realization on her face. Oh, gods, the implication of that. I'll have to think on this.
Just in case it becomes a problem, Marigold, they gave them your name.
Okay, I appreciate you letting me know.
That could totally be a butterfly effect thing.
Maybe, yeah.
We fucked with.
Start messing with timelines, baby.
Fuck.
Alrighty, so viewer's choice is going to go to Lethieth/Q. Congrats. And I would like to give the DM's choice to Miss Mars, because that was a fun one.
Mm-hmm. It was a good
job,
RP.
Mars.
Yeah, good RP. I think what turned it for me was like threatening the wife. That was a very like, oh shit, I was not anticipating that moment. Like, what's he gonna do if he has to choose between his son and his wife? Like,
I was just gonna pop him with a hammer when he first tried to run, but then I said, no, we'll choose peaceful and just use sleep.
Alrighty. And as far as an invite goes, I would like to invite Vordon to write the recap, if you would so choose. In character, of course.
Get the word pencil
That's
pusher.
gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
The
yours.
last bit of business we have to attend to this evening is the magical item, which is fucking doozy. So a lot of the archive missions don't necessarily have items per se, so much as just straight character buffs, represented by ancient knowledge scrolls, things like that. So this is another secret of the archives. Says this ancient tome contains forbidden knowledge locked away inside the Accursed Archive. After reading this book, you may gain proficiency in a saving throw of your choice.
Ooh.
Once this book has been read, it disintegrates.
Whoa.
So,
Damn.
if you're interested in this book, go ahead and get your Tealeaf points bids in now. So the command, as always, /W space GM and then the number.
Are there any rollovers this week, Luke?
There are not, actually. So, bids are now open. If you're interested, go ahead and get them in now. Going once. Going twice. Going thrice. Alrighty. Looks like we've got a winner. For 3 Tealeaf points, the Secret of the Archives is going to go to Mr. Forge.
Nice. Good job.
Very nice.
Nice. And that is getting used on Constitution because the amount of Constitution saves.
Yeah. Alrighty, very cool. Very cool. Alrighty. So just go ahead and copy and paste that buff somewhere on your character sheet, just so we know why you have proficiency in con saves. Because I will forget. But thank you guys. I had a lot of fun. That was fun. Different.
Good. Scary. but good.
Yeah, scary but good is the vibes I was going for. So thank you very much. We will see you Monday with some painting and Thursday with some more D&D. Everybody have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves. Do something nice for yourself this weekend. What? What? What?
Yeah.
The lab? Oh shit! 10
Yeah.
Tealeaf points for Vordon backstory mission. My man, we will be talking. Oh
That is
boy.
gonna be a
All
fun
indoors.
God.
It's
Oh,
just gonna be a hall
God.
of doors.
That's
Oh
not
yeah, Luke, we're gonna have so much fun.
We're gonna have so much fun. Alright, I'm looking forward to that. Guys, have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourself. We're gonna read out to Mr. Boulderbeard. Tell him Dungeon Daddy said stop with a little winky face. We'll catch you later. Toodles.
Bye guys, great job.